When I first saw Russell sing, which was in Hyde Park, just like he does with everybody else, he blew me away. And I just turned to him straight away and said, do you realise that with yourself and guided right, you can be the absolute biggest star in the world?
Russell Watson is a phenomenon. Still only 27, he was working in a factory a few years ago until he won a singing competition. After a touch-and-go spell in pubs, pier-end shows and working men's clubs, he made his first CD, which has sold about 900,000 copies and been top of the classical charts for 15 weeks, ahead of Maria Callas, Bryn Terfel, Leslie Garrett and Bocelli. All because the ballad singer from Salford crossed over to operatic arias, to the huge delight of a public and to the dismay, it seems, of some opera critics. We went to Salford to interview Russell Watson and take the pulse of a career which is flying into orbit. But which one?
Nella fantasia io vedo un mondo giusto, lì tutti vivono in pace e onestà. Io sono d'anime che sono sempre libere, come le nuvole che volano.
I looked at Nola, she looked at me, and for the first two songs he was singing, just streaming, eyes streaming, that proud.
Well, you know how I met this man? Someone told me about this great young singer, developed in Salford. And I think it was Martin Edwards, actually.
It was, yeah.
And we got him down to at Old Trafford. And
it was a Tottenham game.
Yeah, Tottenham game. And then I heard him singing later on, and he was absolutely fantastic. You know the great thing about talent? Talent's the greatest passport in the world that can get you anywhere. And it's brought this young man to the top of his profession, and we're all proud of him. A Salford boy, well done.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down.
I mean, do you recognise some of the actual streets of this? That was your choice in this system they have of famous people choosing a Lowry.
I did.
Lancashire League cricket.
I think, again, you know, sort of due to my link with sport,
Yeah.
certainly over the past 2 years, this one stood out to me, especially with it being at Lancashire Cricket Club where I've performed in the past. So as soon as I saw something like this, and it's a very sort of action orientated as well, which I like, and it's nice to see what the old Trafford ground used to look like.
Yeah.
And there wasn't many stands there. just a group of people gathering round.
Yeah. That was what I would think was essentially Larry. Ordinary in a way, but more powerful for that.
I like that.
Everybody's sort of leaning as if they're leaning into a wind, or they're bowed down by the work they've done. It's quite moving, really.
Yeah.
I will ease your mind like the waves on the troubled waters. I will ease your mind,
Ladies and gentlemen, he sang when we won the European Cup. Russell Watson, the round of applause. Thank you for a wonderful singer.
The moment that I stepped onto the field at Old Trafford was probably the moment when I actually began to believe that classical music could, I suppose crossover's the wrong word and people keep using crossover a lot, but actually communicate this incredibly exciting and emotive music to lots of people, just normal people who've just come to watch, you know, a football match, who have come to watch the last game of the season at Old Trafford, and who aren't really interested in some geezer who's walking on the pitch with a microphone singing Puccini's Nessun Dorma. You know, that was the feeling that I got. It was only the feeling at the end when the whole place went up. And even you could see even the press boxes, everybody was standing up in the press boxes, clapping their hands and cheering, and I was walking off the pitch and everyone was shaking my hand going, "That was bloody amazing, mate, fantastic, what a voice." It was only then that I thought, this is going to work.
Oh, brilliant.
You're welcome, Sue.
Now Russell is embraced wherever he goes. Women see him as an ideal son. Men see him as a mate, always up for a football match or a session in the pub.
There you go, mate. You like Nessun Dorma, yeah?
You're singing for us today? Hello, darling.
Do you feel that there's some disadvantages in having come from a background which is singing in pubs, then in working clubs, singing rock and roll and then ballads and so on and so forth, and crossing over in that other sense, crossing over to singing the arias that Pavarotti sings? Do you feel that you've met resistance in some quarters by doing that?
As far as an advantage or a disadvantage, I think it is more of an advantage because the art of communication is something that you've either got or you haven't, and I feel that I can communicate with my audience, and I think that's partly to do with the work that I did in the clubs and so on, and that to me has been more valuable, I think, than say spending 5 years at a music school. The fact that I went through the mill and I actually, you know, I went out first hand and just got out there and got stuck in.
But you feel very bedded in here to Salford and to Manchester, don't you, still? I mean, it's a cradle and it's a little fortress for you.
It is, very much so. It's the nerve centre of the universe.
Difficult to acknowledge that at this particular football ground. But well, after that you get away with it. You're the guest.
Particularly at this football ground.
Yes.
That's rich coming from an Arsenal fan.
Let's hurry on past that.
Yes, absolutely.
Mark.
Shall we? Salford and Manchester, you know, I think runs through my veins, and I'm very much a home-loving boy. I do get homesick. I miss my family, you know. I like to see my parents.